Hello, Brigadiers and Brigadettes, and hockey fans alike. This is your captain speaking. Welcome to my channel. Now let's jump into some hockey content. Hello, everybody. We're jumping on in this Monday and keeping the series going of the 3 questions for 3 teams. We have the Islanders today, and for the people that are, I guess, history buffs, not really history buffs, yes, I do have my Henrik Sedin shirt on, so if anybody says in the comments, how does it feel to know the Islanders beat you in the 82 Cup? Not too bad considering I was negative 18, so it won't affect me too much. Now, with that being said, let's jump on into the 3 questions we have for the Islanders today. The first question is, when is Barzal signing? Matt Barzal has played 4 seasons with the Islanders, really 3. He only played like 2 games his first year, and he's made a name for himself, and he's been a major piece of the Islanders for the past 3 years. Barzal really did become even more important when Tavares left in free agency to join his childhood team, the Maple Leafs. And, I do think Tavares handled that fairly well because obviously Islanders fans did not react, in the best of ways. And he's always been a fan of the Maple Leafs, hence the photo of him in his pajamas when he left to the Maple Leafs for Toronto. But on the other side, he was the face of the franchise, the first overall pick. And I think it would have been nice to see what he would have done with being in New York to play with the Islanders his whole career and see what he could do with Barry Trotz as a coach. Now, Matt, the past 2 years, back to Barzal, has done what the Islanders needed him to do, and he's filled the hole that Tavares left with his departure. I think he's done a wonderful job. Not only that, he's a player that draws national attention, which is huge for the Islanders because they're always second fiddle to the Rangers in that New York market. On top of that, Barzal has played a huge factor in the Islanders turning things around in the playoffs. Although I will acknowledge that's a team effort. That's not a completely on him thing. That is the whole Islanders buying into a system. The only problem is the good times want to keep rolling, but Matt needs to get paid and the season is quickly approaching. I'm going to say that I expect probably a bridge deal here. The type of deal that I think Barzal would like to get probably isn't going to happen, especially since the Islanders are tied up against the cap. The Islanders have about $3.9 million in cap space right now, but I think Barzal is worth at least probably $6.5 per year. So I'm expecting something like a 3-year, $20 million deal once the Islanders figure out a way to get under the cap. I think that it works for both sides because Barzal can probably get paid more and for a longer-term deal within 3 years, but it also helps the Islanders out now by keeping him under contract, for 3 more seasons, something like that. I'm not sure if they'll get him a big contract. The past 2 years, Barzal has 37 goals, 85 assists, 122 points, and 150 games played, good for 0.81 points per game. And then the past 2 seasons in the playoffs, excluding the qualifying round, he has 6 goals, 15 assists, 21 points, and 26 games played. So that comes out to 0.81 points per game. Matt's a performer. He should be paid like one. And I think that he's a huge piece of this Islanders' future if they want to be able to, make regular Eastern Conference Finals appearances or deep playoff appearances. And I think that Lou Lamoriello is going to have to figure out how to get him paid and keep him on this team in order for them to be able to keep winning playoff series. And that's huge because the Islanders really haven't had that luxury the past few years. Now, the second question is, can the Islanders stay competitive after their losses this offseason? The Islanders didn't get any favors this offseason, as, the worst of things could happen at this time. For me, I'm interested to see what the blue line looks like. The Islanders traded Devon Toews to Colorado in exchange for 2 second-round picks. Toews is a 26-year-old D-man who I thought had a lot of promising aspects in his game for when he could play on the power play. Always nice. And he logged over 20 minutes a night, which is huge. But I think due to cap issues, they weren't able to pay him. So they said, let's ship him off, get some picks out of him. And otherwise, I think the Islanders would have loved to have him be part of the core of this young-ish team going into the future. Then you had Johnny Boychuk, call it a career, and he retired due to an eye issue that he's been dealing with since the 2019-20 season. We had to get all those stitches on his eye. He's dealing with nerve damage, all kinds of stuff. Nothing exciting there for him. I hope that he ends up, not having to deal with that at all, but I'm worried for him that probably for the rest of his life he's going to have to deal with an eye issue. I don't want to say this in a bad way, but, statistically, Boychuk didn't add a whole lot of value to the team offensively or defensively, but I will say he did the things nobody else wants to do. He would block shots, he would lay hits, and, he went out there and he gave 17 minutes a night. And that's my biggest concern for them now is finding, the pieces to eat up that time. Because at the end of the day, that's still, minutes you have to figure out how that's going to translate into your defensive pairings. And I really don't think they expected him to retire this season, but he did. That's life. It's unexpected. You're going to have to, move on with it. And I think that for the Islanders and myself, we would like Johnny Boychuk to be able to be all right after retirement with that eye issue. I hope that he does all right. Then you had Thomas Greiss, who left for Detroit on a 2-year deal. While that hurts, I think the Islanders fans are more interested to see how Ilya Sorokin performs. Sorokin, selected in the 3rd round for the Islanders in the 2014 draft, has been on an absolute tear in the KHL for the past 5 years. And with money being an issue, it wasn't hard to see why the Islanders let Greiss go. It wasn't a big contract, but I think that they wanted to see what Sorokin had to offer, and Varlamov is going to be their goalie for the future. Overall, these losses do hurt, but I think the only real loss out of these players will be Taze, and the other 2 players should be replaceable for this team this season. I just worry about them being in such a tough division. And now my 3rd and final question will be, is there enough scoring depth from the wing? It's no secret. I don't know what just happened there. I mispronounced the word. It's no secret that the Islanders have a impressive center group consisting of Matt Barzal, Brock Nelson, Jean-Gabriel Pajot, I hate saying his name because I always screw it up, and Casey Cizikas. My worry for the Islanders is that the wing depth is not exactly anything that strikes fear into me. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that they're relying on Josh Bailey, Jordan Eberle to provide offense from the right side. I'm not sure both of them are going to be able to provide that scoring. Also, they're really hoping for Kiefer Bellows to be able to provide some scoring, the 2016 first-round pick for them, and then Oliver Wahlstrom, their 2018 first-round pick. They're hoping that he'll be ready to go and provide some scoring depth. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but I'm saying that if you are really relying on your scoring depth from your wingers, and you have to rely on 2, rookies, really, probably on the 3rd line, it's a little troublesome. But I think a lot of it will rely on Bellows and Wahlstrom being up to the task of providing some additional scoring in the rookie years. This is not a team that's really going to have time for them to develop. I think with the Islanders group now, they're going to say you have to chip in and do your part. Otherwise, we could be in a tough spot here. All in all, I do think that the Islanders are in good shape and should be competitive this season. But they're in a realigned division, which will be brutal. We'll see how ready the Islanders are for this. They obviously had a lot of offseason of change and losses, but I'm really interested to see how Sorokin does. I think that's going to be the difference between the Islanders making the playoffs and missing the playoffs. If Sorokin comes out and he performs not to the level that he did in the KHL, because that's impossible. He was literally sub-2 goals against average, like a .950 save percentage some years. But if he could, have like a 2.7 goals against average, .915 save percentage, that would be huge for the Islanders in this division of death. Let me know what you think for the Islanders heading into this season. I think they should be competitive. We'll see. They really are going to have to get some scoring depth out of their wingers. Otherwise, I think they could be in trouble. With that being said, have a great day. Stay safe from COVID, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes, and hockey fans in general. This is your captain signing off. Have a great week.